Hi, it's TB. Welcome back to the channel Empowerment for Women. If you are new here, my channel focuses on coping strategies for those who have been in toxic and abusive relationships, centering around mental and emotional abuse, and how to heal and overcome these toxic relationships so that you can move on to a healthier and more fulfilling relationship in the future. Alright, so in this video, I wanted to talk about mirroring your toxic partner. First, I'm going to go into what mirroring is, why some people do this in their relationships, and why this is not going to get you the results that you want, and also how this can keep you from engaging in a healthier relationship in your future. Okay, so what is mirroring? Mirroring is essentially giving someone a taste of their own medicine. So if your partner is doing something that is not meeting your needs, something that's causing you to lack emotional fulfillment, something that they're doing that you don't like, so you're going to show them by mirroring the behavior. This doesn't always have to be something that they're doing to you. This can be something that they're not doing also. So usually a mentally and emotionally immature person will do this behavior if they're in a toxic relationship or if they've grown up in a toxic environment. Lacking mental and emotional maturity in a relationship usually causes games to be played. Now, a lot of us don't want to take accountability for our faults, especially when we're dealing with somebody. You may think, I'm doing everything right. I'm treating this person with kindness and, they're not showing me the same in return. So, they're gonna mirror their partner. Now, you have to think about this, because if you had mental and emotional maturity in a relationship, a mentally and emotionally mature person would not hang on to the toxic relationship to begin with. They would just let it go, move on, realize that this is not what they want, this is not what they deserve, and even if it's difficult, they will just leave the relationship. I like to use the concept of putting two toddlers in a room and giving them one toy and watching them try to, take turns playing with the toy. It usually doesn't go very well. This is what happens when you have two mentally and emotionally immature people in a relationship. So when you're mirroring your partner's behavior, you're not going to get the results that you want, because you have to understand, if you did enter the relationship, having some sense of yourself and having a little bit more grounding on your mental and emotional maturity, then you may pick these toxic traits up as you go, and instead of leaving the relationship, you're going to start, doing things like this, which you have to understand that the person that you're mirroring is the one that's not giving you or reciprocating in order to meet your needs. So you find yourself meeting all of your partner's needs, and then when they don't, this happens. The person that is mirroring is looking for results, waiting for the other person to have like an eye-opening experience, and to stop the behavior, but that's not going to happen, because usually the person that's being mirrored, the person that's being mimicked, is the person that lacks the most mental and emotional maturity throughout the relationship, is often very selfish and wants their needs and only their needs to be met to begin with. So you're not going to get the results that you're looking for. They're not going to stop and look at themselves and be like, oh wow, I see. So no, they're not going to have some eye-opening, awakening moment where they stop and say to themselves, oh, my partner must be unhappy because he or she is trying to show me up and do the same things to me. What's probably going to happen more likely is that since you're taking away some of their needs, since you're treating them how they're treating you, that's actually, they don't usually realize these types of people that we mirror do not usually realize that they are at fault in the relationship at all, especially if you're dealing with somebody mentally and emotionally abusive, such as a narcissist or somebody who carries, sociopathic traits. They're not looking at themselves in the relationship like they're doing anything wrong. So chances are when you take away those things and you start reciprocating their behavior, they're actually just going to devalue you. So in the long run, this mimicking or mirroring is going to cause more problems for you in the relationship if you're the one doing it. So we need to get to a place where we stop mirroring and we just start moving on. We just start giving up the relationship. If something is unfulfilling in the relationship, we need to be emotionally and mentally mature enough to say, I don't deserve this. This is what I want. This is what I'm not getting. And be able to actually walk away and leave the relationship ultimately. So the longer you stay in this relationship and mirror this individual, you will eventually get to a point where, you're kind of losing sense of what is healthy and what is unhealthy in a relationship. When you start mimicking this toxic person, slowly but surely you are becoming just like the toxic person, and soon the mirroring behavior doesn't have to be applied, it just comes naturally. So a lot of people don't realize when they are in a toxic relationship for a long period of time that you can pick up toxic traits from your toxic partner and carry them on even into your next relationship, which is another very important reason to just leave the relationship and let yourself, realize this is not what you're wanting. And the goal would be to put more time into getting yourself into a state where you would never even think to do this, first of all. And secondly, in order to, engage with someone healthier, you have to do some work on your behalf when it comes to toxic relationships, because being in the toxic relationship causes a lot of stress. Overcoming and coming out of the toxic relationship can leave a person with a lot of loose ends. So, instead of wasting time playing games in this toxic relationship, you should, be trying to tell yourself that this is not what is expected in an adult relationship, and that, your time could be better spent working on yourself so that you can eventually get into a relationship where you wouldn't have to do any of these things. Okay, so one thing I wanted to put a lot of emphasis on in this video is, going back to toxic environments. Most toxic individuals do not come from a healthy environment to begin with. Most toxic individuals come from a chaotic childhood where there's a lot of fighting, arguing, not good examples set for the developing human in the environment. So even if you overcome your childhood, even if you've, become somewhat of a high functioning adult, and then you still engage in a toxic relationship, you're still kind of putting yourself back into that environment. It's not as a child anymore, it's as an adult. But sometimes these situations can be major setbacks for those who have overcome a chaotic or unhealthy. In other words, sometimes we are unconsciously unaware that these environments can make us feel at home, literally. So you have to be very careful, even if you've grown up and gotten out of that situation, not to put yourself right back into that situation, because it can feel very comfortable and very familiar to you, even if that's not what you want in your life anymore. You can kind of slowly work your way back into those unhealthy habits through your relationships, even as adults. So going forward in the future, know that this type of behavior does not do you a justice. It doesn't set an example, and it's unacceptable on both ends. No matter how you're being treated by your partner, when you sink down to their level, it's kind of like the old saying, 2 wrongs don't make a right. So If it resonates with you in any way, or you know somebody that does this or is dealing with this, I hope this video is helpful. I do suggest going back and watching the video I made last week about how avoiding red flags can become red flags for you. That's a great Kickstarter to a subject like this, and kind of goes into more detail about what we do that kind of attract toxicity to us, and how staying in a toxic relationship can help you or make you absorb toxic traits yourself. So you guys, thank you so much for those of you who watch this video, and I will be posting more videos in the future about related content. You guys have a great night, and thank you so much. Be well.